Well, hi there, everybody. Good early Wednesday morning to you if you're joining us from the East Coast. West Coast, we're dealing with still Tuesday night. So I appreciate all of you joining us here for this update on the severe weather. Obviously, we've had some pretty rough weather working across portions of the Great Lakes, the Ohio Valley, and those storms now stretch into areas of Pennsylvania seeming to get the worst of it right now as this line of showers and thunderstorms that rolled off Lake Erie, rolled through Michigan with some big hail. This is all now heading into the south and east across areas of Pennsylvania. So, Pittsburgh, you're already through it. In terms of the worst of the weather, we've got a general heavy rainfall setting in for you from Pittsburgh all the way up areas of 79 as you head north towards Newcastle, Grove City, seeing some heavier rain right now. But as you get down towards the south, that's where we're seeing some of the more stronger showers and thunderstorms now. This is all south of Pittsburgh as you get over into areas of the mountainous terrain here towards Greensburg, Johnstown. You can see we've got severe thunderstorm warnings out, and those will go for about another half hour for the Greensburg area as this line of storms continues to push on in. That line also stretches south towards Washington. We get into areas of West Virginia as well, Wheeling down towards Moundsville, seeing some very heavy rain right now. Now, the primary threat from all of this is the fact that we've got damaging winds at the onset of this. We've had a couple quick spin up potential tornadoes back towards areas near East Palestine and then back into Ohio. Not confirmed yet on those, but for most of us, we're dealing with just some very strong winds as these storms continue to race down to the south and the east. So, kind of a bigger picture looks like this. This is a larger system. This is a mesoscale convective system that will continue to race south and east across areas of Pennsylvania, eventually getting in areas of northern Maryland, northern Virginia as well. West Virginia, you're going to see some action from this as this slides south and east. And eventually, we're talking the DC area as we get towards maybe 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning here, depending on how fast these things continue to move. But you can see the general motion down in the south and the east. The worst is through Pittsburgh now. That's the good news for them, just a heavier rainfall for you. But the bad news is it continues to head down to the south. Now, one of the things we can do is actually go in and look at the wind within these thunderstorms. And that wind shows a different picture. It shows some very gusty winds at the onset of it. And that's really causing the problems. When you get these brighter colors here, as you can see, that kind of zip through Pittsburgh, that's when you have some of the stronger wind gusts on the order 40, 50, even 60 miles per hour. And that has been one of the biggest issues with the storm system as it's racing south and east, is it's tapping into some of that jet stream energy and bringing it down to the surface. So the strong winds now getting into areas of southwestern Pennsylvania, about to cross the border here in about 15, 20 minutes into the Morgantown, West Virginia area. And again, wind gusts could be in excess of, we'll say 40 to 50 miles per hour with this, but we've seen some higher gusts, much higher gusts in portions of Pennsylvania than back into Ohio. Elsewhere, we're not dealing with a whole lot of severe weather out to the east, but towards the west along this same system, the same boundary, we've got more showers and thunderstorms across areas of Ohio that are severe. And those are packing a punch with some wind. We've had some hail with that as well. All sorts of problems with this line as it continues its track down to the south. Now, behind all this is some cooler air. It's going to take its time getting in, but we've got a pretty potent cold front for this time of year that will eventually race in here, and that's going to bring much cooler air for areas of the Great Lakes. We're actually going to see some snow return to the forecasts as well across especially Lake Ontario and the northern lakes. It's just going to be a much different scene around here, and this is kind of the onset of everything as it moves in, but we're not seeing that cold air until really later this week. We're talking Thursday and Friday. So here are the storms in Ohio as you get back towards the Mansfield area, seeing some heavier rain. The big concern is some hail within these towards Sydney, Troy, getting towards the Dayton area here in about another half hour to 45 minutes. Columbus, northwestern burbs as you get up towards the Marysville community, Delaware right now, seeing some heavier rain. There's lots of lightning with these as well. We can also go in and look at some of the hail reports that we have as we get into these storms, and you can see this is how we measure the hail up inside the cloud. Now, keep in mind, this is looking up into the atmosphere a little bit, so a lot of this kind of melts as it hits the ground. But whenever you see values on this that get up in the yellow, orange, and red category, that's when we start to talk perhaps some pea-size, marble-size hail being reported. And you can see there are quite a few areas of hail within this storm as it continues to slide towards the Columbus area and then eventually the Dayton area. So we've got storms there as well. There's still quite a bit of atmospheric energy out there. So Columbus, I can't rule out severe weather for you here in the next half hour to 45 minutes. And then eventually that will slide south of town. Another stray storm just south of Indianapolis. We'll head over to the Indianapolis radar now so we get a better look at this. You saw that hail showing up from that Columbus radar or the Wilmington, Ohio radar. And yeah, we've got some hail just west of town. Pretty decent hail core with that cell. And that is going to slide to the south of Indy right now, but that's heading through the Rockville community just south of you. So heads up Greencastle, Indiana, and Cloverdale as well as that storm continues to slide south and east, that packing a punch as well. Let's go back to the radar and see what the rain and all the lightning looks like, because I'm sure we have just as much lightning in Indiana as with these other storms, and you can see pretty decent lightning with that storm, decent hail core as well, as indicated by some of those darker reds and some of the white colors showing up, heading right towards Greencastle, as we mentioned. This will slide through the southern half of Indianapolis as you get away from town there. A little cell here, not severe, just a pretty decent shower getting right into the Avon and eventually downtown Indianapolis. But these storms, which are severe due to the hail, are going to slide just south of Indianapolis here as we go through. Let's see, we're talking Central Time. So as we go through about the 1:30, 1:45 Central Time in terms of timing on that. Elsewhere, let's see, we've got really our Pittsburgh storm, we've got our Ohio storms, and then we've got that storm back towards the west of Indianapolis. That's pretty much what we're dealing with here this evening. The biggest storms, by and large, though, are in the Pittsburgh area. As this continues to evolve, we're seeing more of a damaging wind threat out of this line as it slides southeast. But you just look at the extent of this. We've got our leading edge here. That's where the severe weather threat is, with the damaging winds, some hail mixing in. All of this back and behind it, this is not severe. That's just a general rainfall with an occasional lightning strike that may wake you up after you perhaps go to bed from this excitement as this line moves through. You get this general rainfall back and behind it. That extends back towards the Cleveland area as well. And you can see the occasional flashes of lightning that we have. But the severe threat is really with this main push as it continues down to the south and the east out of Pittsburgh. You can see it's kind of bowing out a little bit. You get this cold pool of air aloft back and behind it. Cold air is very dense, so it rushes to the ground, and that's what helps push this line even faster as that cold air rushes out. And that's that gusty wind that you see when a line of thunderstorms initially pushes through. So that's what we're seeing in terms of some of the severe weather as this line continues down to the south. Josh, I see your comment there. Thanks for checking us out here tonight. Really great to have you here late night. I'm sure you've got insomnia like we do. But yeah, I think the tornado threat is starting to dwindle down a little bit, Josh. We've lost a lot of the atmospheric energy that supports that. I think it's just a damaging wind threat now as this cold pool really builds in. But you can't rule out these spin-out tornadoes as you get this line continuing to push. It's like just pushing your hand through a puddle of water or a pool, perhaps. You get these little spin-ups on the sides of it where that main push is, and we could certainly see that. But I think tornado threat really starting to dwindle here this evening. So that's what we're dealing with here tonight. Certainly appreciate everyone joining us. We'll keep you updated right here on Severe Weather Now, but wanted to give you up to speed on the latest. And again, just kind of a look forward here this evening into the early morning hours, depending on where you're watching from. Our severe weather threat will carry us into areas of northern Maryland, northwestern Maryland, in fact, areas of West Virginia, northern Virginia. I think that'll be our primary threat tonight. We'll also watch a secondary area that I think will start to kind of dwindle in intensity once it gets beyond Columbus, Ohio. And then that activity back towards Indianapolis, I'm not too worried about that because I think most of the energy in the area is right here in areas of southern Pennsylvania, and that will continue to slide down to the south. So that's what we're seeing here tonight. We'll continue to keep you updated here and check back for the latest as we'll continue to evolve this severe weather spring across the United States. Thanks again.